My ex said, "You'll never find better than me." I walked in with the most powerful mafia boss, his hand on my back. The scar Liam left wasn't visible. It lived in the space between my ribs, a sentence that played on loop every time I looked in the mirror or second-guessed a compliment or wondered if kindness made me weak. "You'll never find better than me." 4 years of him chipping away at the architecture of my confidence. And he'd distilled it all into 7 words before walking out of my apartment like he'd done me a favor. That was 11 months ago. I rebuilt myself one cake at a time. My name is Ava Morello, and I'm 25 years old, which means I'm supposed to have it together by now. Except nobody tells you that having it together looks like frosting wedding cakes at 3 in the morning because the bride changed her mind about peonies versus roses, and you can't afford to lose the referral. I grew up in a town so small it didn't have a stoplight, just a blinking yellow that everyone ignored. My mother baked pies for church fundraisers. My father drove a truck until the day he didn't come home, and we learned not to ask questions about men who leave. I came to New York at 21 with a portfolio of photos I took on my phone, and a dream so big it embarrassed me to say it out loud. I wanted to make cakes that mattered. That made people cry happy tears. That became the centerpiece of the best day of someone's life. I met Liam 3 months after I arrived, at a coffee shop in the village where I was sketching fondant designs on napkins because I couldn't afford a real notebook. He had sandy hair and an easy smile, and he paid for my latte without asking. He told me I was sweet. He said it like a compliment. It took me 2 years to realize he meant it like a diagnosis. Now I own a small shop in Brooklyn called Flower and Fancy, tucked between a laundromat and a bodega that sells the best sandwiches in the borough. My kitchen smells like vanilla and brown butter. My freezer is full of test batches that didn't make the cut. My business is mine, built on 12-hour days, and the kind of stubbornness my mother said I inherited from my grandmother, a woman who once walked 8 miles in a snowstorm to deliver a christening cake because she gave her word. Tonight, I'm walking into my friend Sienna's engagement party at a rooftop venue in Manhattan that probably costs more per hour than I make in a month, and my hand is resting in the crook of Cesare De Luca's elbow like it belongs there. Cesare is 33 years old, 6'3", and the most powerful man in a city that measures power in blood and favors. His last name carries weight the way gravity does, invisible and absolute. He wears a charcoal suit that fits like it was born on his body. His cologne is cedar and something darker, smoky, the kind of scent that lingers on your clothes and makes you remember the moment long after it's passed. His hand is warm where it rests at the small of my back, a touch that's both a shield and a statement. People part for him without realizing they're doing it. He doesn't demand space. He simply occupies it, and the world rearranges itself accordingly. We met 6 weeks ago when he walked into my shop and asked for a custom cake for his grandmother's 80th birthday. He wanted lemon cream with almond liqueur, layers that tasted like memory, and he stood in my kitchen for an hour while I walked him through options, never once checking his phone or glancing at his watch. He asked questions. He listened. When I got flustered because my assistant called in sick and I had 3 other orders due by noon, he rolled up his sleeves and held the piping bag steady while I smoothed buttercream, and he didn't complain when I accidentally got frosting on his cuff. The second time he came in, it was for a tasting, and he brought his grandmother. Nonna De Luca was 4'11" of pure opinion and sharp eyes, and she tasted every sample I set in front of her with the gravity of a judge presiding over a trial. She spoke in rapid Italian to Cesare, gesturing with her fork, and he translated with a patience that softened the hard edges of his face. She says the lemon is too timid. It should announce itself. I remade the batch. Nonna approved. Cesare smiled, small and private, and said, "You don't give up easily." I replied, "Not when it matters." He looked at me like I'd said something important. The third time, he didn't come for cake. He came because a tabloid had linked him to a model he'd never met, and the story was gaining traction in a way that was bad for business, and worse for the woman being dragged into speculation she didn't ask for. He sat across from me in the small office behind my kitchen and laid it out with the kind of honesty that caught me off guard. I need a visible relationship. Someone real. Someone who isn't part of this world and doesn't want to be. Someone I can stand beside in public so the noise dies down. He didn't dress it up. He didn't make promises he couldn't keep. 1 month. Public appearances, dinners, events. I'll make it worth your time. Your shop will get exposure. I'll ensure your safety. And when it's over, we walk away clean. I should have said no. I should have recognized the danger of stepping into a life where contracts are signed in blood and handshakes carry more weight than laws. But I looked at Cesare De Luca, this man who held a piping bag for me without complaint, who translated his grandmother's critiques with tenderness, who was asking rather than demanding. And I said, 3 conditions. No lies about intimacy. My business stays mine. And my safety comes first, not your reputation. He didn't hesitate. Deal, anything else? I thought for a moment. If this becomes real, it's because I choose it, not because you pressure me. He leaned back in his chair, and for the first time since I met him, he looked almost vulnerable. Ava, I don't know how to do casual. If I keep you close, it's because I want you there. If you say no, I respect it. If you say yes, I'll make sure you never regret it. We shook hands. His palm was warm and rough in places, the kind of rough that comes from work, not softness. That was 4 weeks ago. Now we're walking into Sienna's engagement party, and Liam is here. I knew he would be. Sienna warned me 3 days ago, her voice apologetic over the phone. He RSVP'd before I could figure out how to uninvite him. He's dating Marcus's coworker. I'm so sorry, Ava, if you don't want to come. I cut her off. I'm coming, and I'm bringing a date. Cesare didn't ask why when I texted him about tonight. He just replied, I'll pick you up at 7. Wear something that makes you feel powerful. I chose a dress the color of midnight, silk that moves like water, with a neckline that's modest but intentional. I curled my hair and painted my lips the kind of red that says I'm not apologizing for taking up space. When Cesare arrived at my apartment, he stood in the doorway and looked at me like I was art he wanted to memorize. You look stunning. I smoothed my hands down the dress, nervous. You don't think it's too much? He stepped closer, his voice dropping. I think you could wear a flour sack and still be the most beautiful woman in any room. But tonight, you're going to walk in and remind every person who ever underestimated you exactly what they lost. His hand found the small of my back, and the warmth of it steadied me. Ready? I took a breath. Ready. The rooftop venue is strung with lights that look like stars, and the city sprawls below us, a glittering grid of lives we'll never know. The bar is crowded, the air filled with laughter and music, and the low hum of people who are used to being comfortable. Sienna spots me first and shrieks, weaving through the crowd to throw her arms around me. You came! Oh my God, you look incredible. She pulls back and her eyes go wide when she sees Cesare standing beside me. Holy, is this? Cesare De Luca, he says smoothly, extending a hand. Congratulations on your engagement. Sienna shakes his hand like she's touching something sacred and possibly dangerous. Thank you. I wow. Ava, you didn't tell me you were seeing... She lowers her voice. Him. I loop my arm through Cesare's, and his hand settles at my waist like it's the most natural thing in the world. It's still new, I say, which isn't a lie. We're figuring it out. Cesare's thumb brushes once against my hip, a silent reassurance. Ava makes it easy, he says, and the way he looks at me when he says it makes my breath catch. Sienna is beaming. I'm so happy for you. Come on, let me introduce you to everyone. She starts to pull me toward a cluster of guests, and that's when I see him. Liam. He's standing near the bar with a blonde woman draped on his arm, and he's laughing at something someone said, his head thrown back in that way he always did when he wanted people to know he was having a good time. He looks the same. Sandy hair, easy smile, the kind of face that blends into a crowd unless you've spent years memorizing it. The blonde says something, and he kisses her temple, casual and proprietary, and I feel the old scar pull tight. Cesare feels me tense. His hand tightens at my waist, grounding me. That him? His voice is low, meant only for me. I nod, not trusting my voice. Do you want to leave? I look up at him, surprised. You'd leave? Right now? If it's what you need. There's no judgment in his eyes. No impatience, just a question, and the promise that whatever I answer, he'll follow. I take a breath. No, I'm not running from him anymore. Cesare's mouth curves, small and approving. Then let's make sure he sees exactly what he walked away from. We move through the crowd and I feel eyes follow us. Cesare is a magnet, His presence pulls attention without effort. People nod at him, respectful and wary, and a few whisper behind their hands. I keep my chin up and my smile soft, the way I do when I deliver a cake and the client gasps. We're halfway to the bar when Liam spots me. His gaze lands on me first, and I watch recognition flicker across his face. Then his eyes slide to Cesare and something shifts. His smile falters. The blonde notices and tugs on his arm, but he's not looking at her anymore. He's looking at us. Cesare guides me to the bar, his hand never leaving my back. He orders a glass of white wine for me without asking, because he paid attention the night we had dinner, and I mentioned I prefer it to red, and a whiskey neat for himself. When the bartender sets the glasses down, Cesare hands me mine and raises his in a silent toast. I clink my glass against his, and the sound is small and bright in the noise around us. Liam is moving toward us now, weaving through the crowd with the blonde trailing behind. My heart kicks against my ribs, but Cesare's presence is a steady weight beside me, and I focus on the cool stem of the wineglass in my hand. The way the lights reflect off the surface of the liquid, anything to keep me grounded. Ava. Liam's voice cuts through the music, and I turn slowly, deliberately, like I hadn't noticed him until this moment. Liam. I keep my tone neutral. Hi. He's staring at Cesare now, and there's something in his expression I can't quite name. Uncertainty, maybe, or the beginning of fear. I didn't know you were seeing anyone. There's a lot you don't know about me anymore, I say evenly. The blonde steps forward, her smile brittle. I'm Jessica, Liam's girlfriend. Ava, I reply, shaking her hand briefly. This is Cesare. Cesare doesn't offer his hand. He nods once, polite but distant, and his eyes stay on Liam like he's cataloging every detail, every tell. Liam shifts his weight, and I realize with a jolt of satisfaction that he's uncomfortable. Liam, who spent 4 years making me feel small, is uncomfortable. So, Liam says, forcing a laugh, how'd you two meet? My shop, I say. Cesare commissioned a cake. That's cute. Liam's tone is patronizing, and I feel Cesare's hand flex once against my back. Didn't think you'd go for the whole businessman type. Didn't think you'd still be commenting on my choices, I reply, and my voice is sharper than I intended. Liam's smile tightens. Just making conversation, Ava. No need to be defensive. Cesare steps forward, not aggressive, just present, and suddenly the space between us and Liam shrinks in a way that makes the air feel heavier. You'll address her as Miss Morello, Cesare says, his voice low and utterly calm. And if you're looking to make conversation, I suggest you find someone else. Liam blinks. Jessica tugs on his arm, whispering something urgent, but he's still staring at Cesare like he's trying to figure out if this is a joke. Who the hell do you think you are? Cesare doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. Someone who respects her, which is more than you managed in 4 years. The words land like a slap. Liam's face flushes red, and I see the moment he realizes he's outmatched. Not because Cesare is bigger or louder, but because Cesare is certain, and Liam never learned how to fight someone who doesn't flinch. Come on, babe, Jessica says, pulling harder now. Let's go get another drink. Liam lets her pull him away, but not before he throws one last look over his shoulder, and I see it clearly now. Not anger. Fear. Cesare waits until they're out of earshot before he turns to me, his hand moving to cup my elbow gently. You okay? I realize I'm shaking, not from fear, but from the sheer release of tension I've been holding since I walked in. Yeah, I'm okay. You were brilliant, he says, and there's something warm in his eyes that makes my chest ache. Didn't need me at all. I did, I admit. Just having you there. It helped. He brushes a thumb across my wrist, feather light. Then I'll stay as long as you need me. By the time we leave the party an hour later, the sky has gone full dark, and the city below is a sea of lights. Cesare walks me to his car, his hand at the small of my back again, and when he opens the door for me, I pause before getting in. Thank you, I say, for tonight, for all of it. He leans against the door frame, his face shadowed and serious. You don't have to thank me for doing the bare minimum, Ava. It's not the bare minimum. I say quietly. It's more than I've had in a long time. Something flickers in his expression, something almost sad. Then the people before me were idiots. The drive back to my apartment is quiet, but it's a comfortable quiet. The kind where words aren't necessary. When he pulls up in front of my building, he doesn't immediately unlock the doors. Can I ask you something? Of course. When he said those things to you, about never finding better, did you believe him? I think about lying, about brushing it off, but Cesare has been honest with me from the start, and I owe him the same. Sometimes, I admit, especially at the beginning, he had a way of making me feel like I was lucky he stayed, like my kindness was a flaw, not a feature. Cesare's jaw tightens. Your kindness is the best thing about you. Anyone who made you feel otherwise is a fool. The words settle over me like a blanket, warm and unexpected. You barely know me. I know enough, he says, and his eyes hold mine. I know you remade a batch of lemon cake 3 times because my grandmother deserved perfection. I know you work 12-hour days and still find time to teach a free decorating class at the community center on Sundays. I know you apologized to me when you got frosting on my cuff, like it mattered more than the fact that I was in your space uninvited. He leans closer, and I can smell cedar and smoke. I know you're strong and stubborn and too hard on yourself, and I know that anyone who had the privilege of being loved by you and walked away is the biggest idiot in this city. My throat tightens. Cesare, you don't have to say anything, he says quickly. I just needed you to hear it. I reach across the console and take his hand, threading my fingers through his. I'm glad I said yes. To all of this. His thumb brushes across my knuckles. So am I. When I finally get out of the car, he waits until I'm inside the building before he drives away, and I stand in the lobby for a long moment, my hand pressed to my chest, feeling the steady thrum of my heartbeat, and wondering when this stopped being pretend. By morning, the city is awake and screaming, and I'm in my kitchen by 6, because there's a wedding cake due by 2, and the bride wants hand-painted sugar flowers that take hours to get right. My assistant, Marisol, arrives at 7 with coffee and bagels, and we fall into the rhythm we've perfected over the past year. She preps the fondant while I sketch the design, and we work in comfortable silence broken only by the occasional curse when something doesn't cooperate. At 9, my phone buzzes. A text from Cesare. Nonna wants to know if you're free for Sunday dinner. I told her I'd ask. No pressure. I smile and type back. Tell her yes. What should I bring? His reply is instant. Just yourself. She's already planning the menu. Marisol glances at my phone and grins. That the hot Mafia boss? I roll my eyes. Don't call him that. Why not? It's accurate. It's reductive. It's also hot. She pipes a swirl of buttercream onto a test cupcake and hands it to me. Try this. I added orange zest. I taste it, and the bright citrus cuts through the sweetness perfectly. That's gorgeous. Let's do a whole batch for the tasting menu next week. She beams. So, are you going to tell me what's happening with him, or do I have to live vicariously through Instagram speculation? There's Instagram speculation? Babe, there's a whole thread. Someone posted a photo of you two at the party last night. You look like a movie. I groan and pull out my phone. And sure enough, there's a photo circulating. Cesare and me at the bar, his hand at my waist. My head tilted toward him like he's the only person in the room. The caption reads, Cesare De Luca and mystery woman at Upper East Side engagement party. Who is she? Great, I mutter. Just what I need. Marisol shrugs. Could be worse. You could be dating someone boring. I laugh despite myself. Fair point. By noon, the wedding cake is assembled, and the sugar flowers are drying on parchment paper. And I'm sitting in my office with a cup of tea when my phone rings. Unknown number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me swipe. Hello? Miss Morello. The voice is clipped, professional, female. This is Victoria Ashford from Manhattan Life magazine. I'm calling to see if you'd be willing to do an interview about your relationship with Cesare De Luca. My stomach drops. How did you get this number? Public records, she says smoothly. We're running a feature on prominent couples in the city, and you've generated quite a bit of interest. It would be a lovely opportunity to talk about your business as well. I close my eyes. I'm not interested. Thank you. Miss Morello, I understand this is unexpected, but I hang up before she can finish and my hands are shaking. This is what Cesare warned me about. The attention, the scrutiny, the way his world pulls people into its orbit whether they want it or not. I text him. A reporter just called asking for an interview. I said no, is that okay? His response comes within seconds. More than okay. I'll have my team handle it. Block any numbers you don't recognize. Are you safe? Yes, I'm at the shop. Stay there. I'm sending someone to install better security on your doors. Should be there within the hour. I stare at the message, torn between gratitude and the creeping sense that my life is no longer entirely mine. But then I remember the way Liam looked at me last night. The fear in his eyes. And the way Cesare's hand steadied me when I thought I might fall apart. I type back, thank you. Always. The security team arrives 40 minutes later. 2 men in plain clothes who introduce themselves as Marco and Leo. And they're efficient and polite as they install new locks and a camera system that links to an app on my phone. Marco explains how it works, patient and thorough, and when they're done, he hands me a card with a number on it. You see anything strange, anyone hanging around who shouldn't be, you call this. Someone will be here in under 5 minutes. Is that really necessary? I ask, even though I already know the answer. Mr. DeLuca doesn't take chances with people he cares about. Marco says simply. Neither do we. After they leave, I stand in my kitchen and look at the new camera mounted discreetly in the corner. The red light blinking steadily, and I wonder when I stopped being Ava Morello, small-town girl with big dreams, and became Ava Morello, the woman under Cesare DeLuca's protection. Marisol pokes her head in. Everything okay? Yeah, I say, and I'm surprised to find I mean it. Everything's okay. That night, Cesare picks me up for dinner at a restaurant in Tribeca that doesn't have a sign, just an unmarked door and a host who greets him by name. We're led to a private room in the back, all exposed brick and candlelight. And when the door closes behind us, the noise of the city fades into something distant and manageable. How was your day? He asks as we sit, and the question is so normal, so domestic, that it makes me smile. Busy. Yours? Long. He loosens his tie, and the gesture is so human it catches me off guard. Had a meeting that should have taken an hour and stretched into 4. My patience is not what it used to be. What was the meeting about? He hesitates, and I see the calculation behind his eyes. How much to tell me? How much to keep hidden? Logistics, he says finally. Moving product. Navigating regulations. The boring parts of running a business. Do you like it? I ask. What you do? He considers the question, swirling the wine in his glass. I like building things. I like solving problems. I don't love the cost of it. The cost, the things I have to do to keep the people I care about safe. The compromises. The distance it puts between me and a normal life. He looks at me, and there's something raw in his expression. I don't get to be the kind of man who picks his girlfriend up from work and worries about traffic. I have to be the kind of man who installs security cameras and assigns bodyguards and makes sure there's always an exit plan. That sounds exhausting, I say softly. It is. He sets down his glass. But then I spend an evening with you, and it feels less heavy. The words settle between us, fragile and honest. I reach across the table and take his hand. I'm not afraid of you, Cesare, if that's what you're worried about. You should be, he says, but there's no heat in it. Just resignation. Maybe, I agree, but I'm not. I'm afraid of going back to feeling small. I'm afraid of wasting my life on people who don't see me. I'm afraid of letting fear make my decisions. I squeeze his hand. But you make me feel brave. He brings my hand to his lips and kisses my knuckles, slow and reverent. Then I'll do everything I can to keep you feeling that way. Dinner is perfect. Fresh pasta and wine that tastes like summer, and we talk about everything and nothing. He tells me about growing up in Bensonhurst, about his grandmother teaching him to make sauce from scratch, about the first time his father took him to a business meeting, and he realized their family was different from the others on the block. I tell him about my mother's pies, about the scholarship that got me to culinary school, about the night I left my hometown with 2 suitcases and a dream that felt too big to carry alone. Do you miss it? He asks. Home? Sometimes, I admit. I miss the quiet, the way everyone knew everyone, but I don't miss feeling stuck, like the edges of the town were the edges of my world. You were always meant for more than that, he says, and the certainty in his voice makes my throat tight. When he drives me home, I don't want the night to end. I invite him up for tea, and he accepts, and we sit in my tiny living room with mugs of chamomile and the city humming outside the window. He looks too big for my secondhand couch, all sharp lines and expensive fabric against my mismatched throw pillows. But he doesn't seem to mind. He asks about the framed photo on my bookshelf. Me and my mother, her arm around my shoulders. Both of us laughing. And I tell him about the day it was taken, the summer before I left, when everything still felt possible and uncomplicated. She'd like you, I say without thinking. Yeah. She always said to look for someone who makes you feel seen, not small. You do that. He sets down his mug and turns to face me fully. Ava, I need to tell you something. My heart stutters. Okay. This arrangement we made, the public appearances, the month-long agreement, it's not enough anymore. He runs a hand through his hair, and I've never seen him anything less than composed, but right now he looks almost nervous. I know we said this was temporary. I know the deal was 1 month and then we walk away clean. But I don't want to walk away. I want to keep showing up. I want Sunday dinners with you and my grandmother. I want to text you in the middle of the day just to make sure you're okay. I want to be the person you call when something good happens, or when something bad does. He takes a breath. I want this to be real. If that's something you'd consider. I stare at him, my heart doing something complicated and wild in my chest. You're saying you want to actually date me. I'm saying I'm already halfway in love with you, and I'd like the chance to get the rest of the way there. The words knock the air from my lungs. Cesare, you don't have to answer now, he says quickly. I just needed you to know. No pressure, no obligation, just honesty. I set down my mug and move closer, until our knees are touching, and I can see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. I don't need time, I say. The answer is yes. His whole face transforms, and for the first time since I met him, he looks young, hopeful. Yeah? Yeah. I cup his face in my hands, and his stubble is rough against my palms. I'm terrified, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to try. With you. He kisses me then, slow and careful, like I'm something precious he's afraid to break. His hands frame my face, thumbs brushing my cheekbones, and the kiss tastes like chamomile and promises. When we finally pull apart, we're both breathing hard, and he rests his forehead against mine. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you never regret this, he murmurs. I know. I whisper back. That's why I said yes. He stays for another hour, and we sit tangled together on my couch, talking and kissing and learning the shape of each other in this new context. When he finally leaves, it's past midnight, and he kisses me at the door like he's memorizing the moment. I watch from my window as his car pulls away, and I press my fingers to my lips, still feeling the ghost of his touch by morning. The world shifts again. I'm at the shop early, prepping for a tasting appointment, when Marisol bursts through the door, her phone clutched in her hand and her face pale. Ava, you need to see this. She hands me her phone, and I see a video playing on a gossip site. The headline reads, Morello Bakery, Sweet Treats or Money Laundering Front. The video is grainy, clearly doctored, showing my shop's back door and a series of deliveries that are labeled as suspicious. A voiceover speculates about my connection to Cesare De Luca and whether my business is a front for organized crime. My hands start to shake. This isn't real. None of this is real. I know, Marisol says urgently, but it's everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, even the local news picked it up. I scroll through the comments, and they're vicious. Of course she's shady. No way a small bakery gets that much attention unless something's off. Mafia girlfriend playing baker. Classic. I'm never buying from there again. I feel like I'm going to be sick. This is my business, my dream. The thing I built from nothing, and now it's being torn apart by lies I can't control. My phone rings. Cesare. I answer, and my voice cracks. Did you see it? I saw it. His voice is tight, controlled fury. I'm handling it. Don't leave the shop. Marco's already on his way. Cesare, this is my reputation. My business. I can't just... You're not just anything. He cuts me off. You're under attack, and I'm not going to let them destroy you. Trust me. Please. I close my eyes. Okay, I trust you. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He's there in 15. When Cesare walks through the door of my shop, he's flanked by 2 men I don't recognize, and there's something different about him. The careful gentleness he shows me is still there, but it's wrapped in steel now, the kind of steel that makes people step aside without being asked. He crosses to me in 3 strides and pulls me into his chest, and I let myself sink into him for just a moment, breathing in cedar and safety. We're going to fix this, he says against my hair. I promise you. I pull back enough to look at him. How? The video's everywhere. People are already canceling orders. I had 3 emails this morning from clients asking to terminate contracts. His jaw tightens. Because they're reacting to a lie. Once we expose the truth, they'll come back. And the ones who don't aren't worth your time. He glances at the men behind him. This is Adrian, my head of security, and Lucas, digital forensics. They're going to trace the source of the video and find out who's behind this. Adrian steps forward. A tall man with graying temples and sharp eyes. Miss Morello, I need access to your security footage from the past 3 months, any delivery logs, and your business email account. We're going to build a timeline and cross-reference it with the doctored video. Okay, I say, because what else can I do? Marisol can help you. She manages most of the scheduling. Marisol nods, already pulling up files on her laptop. Lucas sets up at the small table in my office, his fingers flying across his keyboard, and within minutes my shop feels like a command center. Cesare guides me to the back, away from the controlled chaos. I need you to think. Has anyone been asking unusual questions about your business? Deliveries at odd times? People lingering outside who didn't come in? I rack my brain, trying to pull details from the fog of panic. There was a guy last week. He came in asking about wholesale orders. Said he represented a chain of coffee shops. But when I asked for his card, he said he'd email me and left. I never got the email. Cesare's eyes sharpen. What did he look like? Late 30s, maybe? Brown hair, average height. He had a tattoo on his wrist, some kind of symbol. I didn't get a good look. He pulls out his phone and types rapidly, then shows me a photo. This him? I lean in and my stomach drops. It's the man from the coffee shop photo on Cesare's screen, standing next to someone I don't recognize. Yes, that's him. Dante Rossini, Cesare says, his voice flat. He works for the Valente family. They've been trying to muscle into my territory for the past 6 months. This is their way of hitting me where it hurts. By destroying my business, by making it look like I'm careless. Like I'd put a civilian in danger just by association. They want to send a message. He cups my face gently, his thumb brushing my cheek. But they underestimated you. And they underestimated how far I'll go to protect what's mine. The possessiveness in his tone should probably scare me. Instead, it makes me feel anchored. What do? We prove the video is fake. We trace it back to them, and then we make sure they never come near you again. He kisses my forehead, soft and lingering. But first, I need you to do something for me. What? Go on record. Call that reporter from Manhattan Life back and give her the interview. But you control the narrative. You talk about your business, your apprenticeship program, the charity work you do. You make it impossible for anyone to believe you're anything other than exactly who you are. My heart pounds. Cesare, I've never done anything like that. I know, but you're the best person to tell your story. Not me, not my lawyers. You. He takes my hands. I'll have a PR consultant on standby to help you prep. You don't have to answer anything you're not comfortable with. But putting a face and a voice to the woman they're trying to tear down, that changes everything. I think about it. About 4 years of Liam telling me I was too soft, too nice, not strong enough to handle the real world. About walking into that party with my head high. About the way Cesare looks at me like my kindness is a weapon, not a weakness. Okay, I say. I'll do it. His smile is fierce and proud. That's my girl. The next 2 hours are a blur. Cesare's PR consultant, a woman named Claudia with impeccable style and a no-nonsense attitude, walks me through potential questions and helps me craft responses that are honest without being defensive. You're not justifying yourself, she says firmly. You're educating people who don't know you yet. Big difference. By the time Victoria Ashford from Manhattan Life arrives, I've gone through half a pot of coffee and my hands have stopped shaking. She's younger than I expected, mid-30s with red-framed glasses and a recorder she sets on the table between us. Cesare stays in the background, a silent presence that steadies me. Miss Morello, Victoria begins, thank you for agreeing to speak with me. I know this has been a difficult day. It has, I say, but I want to set the record straight. Let's start with your business. Flower and Fancy, how did it begin? I take a breath and tell her. About growing up in a town that didn't have a bakery, about learning from my mother, about coming to New York with nothing but a portfolio and a dream, about the first cake I sold, a simple 2-tier vanilla that I delivered on the subway because I couldn't afford a car, about the apprenticeship program I started last year, teaching underprivileged kids how to bake because I remember what it felt like to want something so badly and not know how to reach it, about the charity auctions where I donate cakes to raise money for food banks and shelters. Victoria listens, taking notes, and I watch her expression shift from professional interest to something warmer. That's incredible, she says. And yet today, there's a video circulating that suggests your business is involved in illegal activity. How do you respond to that? It's not true, I say simply. Every delivery to my shop is logged. Every invoice is documented. I work 12-hour days because I love what I do, not because I'm hiding something. That video is fabricated, and it's being used to hurt me because of my relationship with Cesare De Luca. Speaking of which, how did that relationship begin? I glance at Cesare, and he nods, giving me permission to share what I'm comfortable with. He came into my shop 6 weeks ago asking for a cake for his grandmother. We got to know each other. He's kind, thoughtful, and he treats me with more respect than I knew I deserved. When he asked me to attend public events with him, I said yes because I wanted to, not because I'm involved in his business, not because I have anything to hide, because I like him. And I'm not going to apologize for that. Victoria's pen stills. That's a powerful statement. It's the truth. The interview lasts another 20 minutes, and by the end, I'm exhausted but lighter. Victoria shakes my hand and promises the piece will run tomorrow, online and in print. For what it's worth, she says quietly, I think you're going to be fine. People respond to honesty. After she leaves, Cesare crosses to me and pulls me into his arms. You were perfect. I was terrified. Didn't show. He kisses the top of my head. Adrian has something. Come on. We move back to the office, where Adrian and Lucas have commandeered every available surface. Adrian looks up as we enter, his expression grim. We trace the video. It was uploaded from an IP address registered to a shell company owned by the Valente family. The footage itself is a composite. Real shots of your shop spliced with footage from a completely different location. Whoever made it knew what they were doing, but they got sloppy. Left metadata we could track. Can we prove it? Cesare asks. Already have. Lucas turns his laptop around, showing a screen full of code and timestamps. I can testify to this in court if needed, but more importantly, we can leak this to the same outlets that ran the original story, discredit them before they gain more traction. Cesare's smile is cold. Do it, and make sure the Valenti name is attached to every version of the retraction. Adrian nods. Consider it done. Relief crashes over me, so intense I have to sit down. Marisol appears with a glass of water, and I drink it gratefully. Is it really over? Not yet, Cesare says. But we're winning. By evening, the retraction is live. Every outlet that ran the original story posts an update. Video alleging money laundering by Brooklyn Bakery, confirmed as fabricated. The comments shift, apologies mixed with outrage directed at the people who spread the lie. My phone starts buzzing with messages from clients, asking if they can reinstate their orders, and I want to cry from sheer relief. Cesare insists I close the shop early and come to his place. You've been running on adrenaline all day. You need to rest. I need to start catching up on orders. I protest, but he's already guiding me toward the door, his hand at the small of my back. Marisol can handle prep. You need food and sleep. In that order. His penthouse is in a building I've only seen in magazines. all glass and steel and views that make the city look like a living painting. The interior is surprisingly warm. Dark wood, soft leather, bookshelves that span entire walls. It's a space that feels lived in, not staged, and I find myself relaxing despite the chaos of the day. He cooks for me. Actual cooking, not takeout. Pasta with garlic and olive oil, simple and perfect. And we eat at his kitchen island while the city glitters below us. "Where'd you learn to cook?" I ask. "Nonna," he says. She didn't believe in useless men. Said if I was going to run a family, I needed to know how to feed them. She sounds formidable. She is. "You'll see on Sunday?" He twirls pasta on his fork, watching me. "How are you really doing?" I consider lying, but he'd see through it. I'm scared, I admit. Today was terrifying. Watching something I built get torn apart by people I've never met. Knowing that being close to you makes me a target. He sets down his fork, his expression pained. "If you want to walk away, I'll understand. I'll make sure you're protected, that your business is protected. But I won't trap you in something that makes you feel unsafe." I reach across the counter and take his hand. I'm not walking away. I'm scared, but I'm not running. There's a difference. What's the difference? Running is when you let fear make your decisions. Being scared is just being human, and I'd rather be human and scared with you than safe and alone. He brings my hand to his lips, kissing each knuckle slowly. "I don't deserve you." "That's not your call to make," I say softly. "I'm the one who decides what you deserve, and I say you deserve someone who sees you, not just the reputation or the name or the danger. You." Something breaks open in his face, and he moves around the island to pull me into his arms. We stand there in his kitchen, holding each other while the city hums around us, and I feel the weight of the day start to lift. He insists I stay the night, and I don't argue. He gives me one of his shirts to sleep in, soft cotton that smells like him, and when I climb into his bed, he climbs in beside me, pulling me against his chest. "Just sleep," he murmurs when I tense. "Nothing else. Just let me hold you." I relax into him, my head tucked under his chin, and his heartbeat is steady and strong beneath my ear. "Cesare? Yeah, thank you. For today. For all of it." His arms tighten around me. "You never have to thank me for protecting you. It's not a favor, it's a privilege." I fall asleep to the sound of his breathing and the warmth of his body, and for the first time in days, I don't dream of falling. The week that follows is a strange mix of normal and surreal. My shop returns to its usual rhythm. Orders, tastings, the comforting routine of flour and sugar and the alchemy of heat. The story about the fake video fades from the headlines, replaced by newer scandals and shinier controversies. Clients who canceled their orders sheepishly call back, and I accept their apologies with grace, because holding grudges takes energy I don't have. But the normal is punctuated by the surreal. Marco and Leo outside my shop every day, their presence both reassuring and unnerving. Cesare texting me throughout the day, little check-ins that make me smile. Dinners at restaurants where we're led to private rooms and the staff treats him like royalty. The slow realization that my life has shifted in ways I'm still learning to navigate. On Sunday, he picks me up for dinner at Nonna's. I've changed outfits 3 times, settling on a simple dress and cardigan that I hope says, respectful without screaming, trying too hard. Cesare notices my nerves the moment I get in the car. "She's going to love you," he says. "You don't know that, I do." "She already asked me when I'm proposing." I choke on air. "She what?" He grins, sheepish and boyish. Nonna doesn't believe in wasting time. She thinks if you know, you know. And what did you tell her? That I'm working on it. My heart does something complicated in my chest. But before I can respond, we're pulling up to a modest house in Bensonhurst. Warm light spilling from the windows and the smell of garlic and tomatoes thick in the air. Nonna De Luca answers the door in an apron, flour dusting her hands, and she takes one look at me before pulling me into a hug that smells like bread and lavender. "Ava," she says, her accent thick and melodic. Finally, come, you help me in the kitchen. Cesare, you stay out." Cesare raises his hands in surrender, and I follow Nonna into a kitchen that's small and cluttered and perfect. Every surface is covered, bowls of rising dough, jars of preserved vegetables, a pot of sauce bubbling on the stove that makes my mouth water. "You know how to make pasta?" Nonna asks. already pulling out flour and eggs. A little, I say. I'm better with cakes. Good, I teach you. Cesare needs a wife who can feed him proper. I flush. We're just... She waves a hand, dismissive. You think I don't see? That boy looks at you like you hung the moon. He never brings anyone here, not once. You are special. I don't know what to say to that. So I focus on the pasta dough she's demonstrating, her hands quick and sure as she needs. She talks while she works. Stories about Cesare as a boy, stubborn and serious even then. Always trying to protect everyone. His papa, he was hard man. Good man, but hard. Cesare, he learned to be strong. But strong and hard, not the same. You teach him soft again. I see it. I don't think I'm teaching him anything, I say quietly. He's teaching me. She stops kneading and looks at me, really looks, and her eyes are sharp and kind. You teach each other. That is love. By the time we sit down to eat, the table is covered in dishes Nonna insists I sample. Pasta with Sunday sauce, meatballs that melt on your tongue, roasted vegetables glistening with olive oil. Cesare sits beside me, his hand finding mine under the table, and I feel the weight of Nonna's gaze, assessing and approving. You bake something for me, yes? Nonna asks as we're clearing plates. Something special. I want to taste what makes my grandson smile like fool. I laugh. I'd be honored. Good. Next week you bring. And Cesare, you bring ring. Nonna, Cesare protests. But she's already bustling back to the kitchen, and I'm left sitting there, my face hot and my heart racing. He leans close, his breath warm against my ear. Sorry, she's not subtle. It's okay, I say, and I mean it. It's nice, being part of something. His hand tightens around mine. You are. Part of this. Part of me. We stay for hours, and by the time we leave, I'm full and happy and more settled than I've been in weeks. On the drive back to my apartment, Cesare asks if I meant what I said. About what? Being part of something. Part of me. I turn in my seat to look at him, and the city lights play across his face, shadows and gold. I meant it. I know this is complicated. I know there are risks, but I want to be here, with you. He pulls the car over, right there on the side of the road, and cups my face in his hands. I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret that. Then he kisses me, deep and slow and full of promise, and I kiss him back with everything I have. The following days blur into a new rhythm. I bring Nonna a sampler box of pastries, lemon cream, almond biscotti, honey lavender cake, and she declares me acceptable, which Cesare assures me is high praise. Work steadies. The orders that poured in after the interview keep me busy, and Marisol hires a part-time assistant to help with prep. Cesare and I fall into a pattern. Dinners at his place or mine. Late-night phone calls when his meetings run long. Stolen afternoons when I close the shop early and we walk through the city like ordinary people. But the ordinary is fragile. It shatters on a Tuesday night. I'm at the shop late, finishing a custom order for a corporate event, when my phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. You should have stayed out of his world. Now you pay. My blood goes cold. I screenshot it and immediately text Cesare, but before I can hit send, I hear something. A sound from the back of the shop near the delivery door. Metal scraping metal. I freeze, my heart pounding so hard I can feel it in my throat. The new security system Cesare installed should have alerted me if someone tried to get in, unless they disabled it. I move slowly, quietly, toward the front door, my phone clutched in my hand. I'm 3 steps from the exit when the lights go out. Darkness swallows the shop, thick and complete. I bite back a scream and run, my shoulder slamming into the door frame as I fumble for the lock. My hands are shaking so badly I can't get it open, and I hear footsteps now, heavy and deliberate, coming closer. Miss Morello. The voice is male, unfamiliar, and cold. We just want to talk. I don't answer. I finally get the lock undone and shove the door open, stumbling onto the street. Marco is there instantly, materializing from wherever he'd been posted, and he puts himself between me and the shop, his hand inside his jacket. How many? He asks, calm and lethal. I don't know. 1, maybe 2. They cut the lights. He speaks rapidly into his earpiece, and within seconds 2 more men appear. Leo enters the shop while Marco stays with me, and I'm shaking so hard my teeth chatter. Marco sheds his jacket and drapes it over my shoulders. You're safe, breathe, I try, I fail. My phone buzzes, and it's Cesare, his name lighting up the screen. I answer and my voice cracks. Someone broke in. I'm 10 minutes away. Are you hurt? No, Marco's here. I'm okay. Stay with him. Don't move. I'm coming. He's there in 8 minutes. His car screeching to a stop and his door open before the engine cuts. He crosses to me in long strides and pulls me into his chest, and I feel the tension vibrating through him, tightly controlled rage barely leashed. Did they touch you? His voice is low, dangerous. No. I got out before, they were just inside. They said they wanted to talk. Leo emerges from the shop, his expression grim. Back door was forced. They disabled the camera feed but missed the backup. We have footage. Cesare's jaw tightens. Show me. We move inside, and Leo pulls up the footage on his phone. The video is grainy but clear enough. 2 men in dark clothes and gloves, moving through my kitchen with casual confidence. One of them stops at my workstation and pulls something from his pocket. A ledger, small and leather-bound, and tucks it into the flower bin. My stomach drops. What is that? A plant, Cesare says flatly. They're trying to frame you again. Adrian arrives within minutes, and suddenly my small shop is full of men in dark suits speaking in clipped tones and moving with military precision. Cesare keeps me close, his arm around my waist, and I feel like I'm watching this happen to someone else. Adrian retrieves the ledger from the flower bin, handling it with gloves, and flips through it. His expression darkens. Fake invoices. Dummy accounts. If someone found this and reported it, it would trigger an investigation that could shut you down for months. The Valente family? Cesare asks. Most likely. This has their fingerprints all over it. Cesare's hand flexes against my waist, and when he speaks, his voice is ice. I want names, I want locations, and I want this handled before sunrise. Adrian nods once and leaves, taking half the men with him. The shop feels cavernous and wrong in the aftermath, and I can't stop shaking. Cesare turns me to face him, his hands gentle on my shoulders. You're not staying here tonight. You're coming home with me, and we're figuring this out. They're trying to ruin me, I whisper. Why? What did I do? You didn't do anything. His voice is fierce. You're being used to get to me, and I'm ending it. Tonight. How? He cups my face, his thumbs brushing away tears I didn't realize I'd shed. Let me handle it. Please, trust me. I do. That's the terrifying part. I trust him completely. He takes me to his penthouse, and I'm numb and exhausted and barely aware of the elevator ride or the soft couch he settles me on. He brings me tea in a blanket and sits beside me, pulling me into his arms. I'm sorry, he says into my hair. This is my fault. I brought this into your life. No, I say, my voice stronger than I feel. You didn't. They did. You're the one protecting me. I should have anticipated this. Should have moved faster. I pull back to look at him. You can't control everything, Cesare. You can't predict every move. You're doing everything you can, and I'm still here. I'm still choosing this. Choosing you. His eyes search mine, dark and intense. Even now? After this? Especially now. He kisses me then, desperate and relieved, and I kiss him back, pouring everything I can't say into the press of my lips against his. When we finally break apart, we're both breathing hard. I need to make a call, he says quietly, and you're not going to like it. What kind of call? The kind that ends this. I study his face, the hard line of his jaw, the cold determination in his eyes. You're going after them. I'm making sure they can't touch you again. There's a difference. Is there? He hesitates. I'm not going to lie to you, Ava. What I do, the way I handle threats, it's not clean. It's not legal. But it's effective. and it keeps the people I care about safe. If you can't live with that, I understand. But I won't apologize for protecting you. I take a breath, weighing my words. I don't want you to hurt anyone because of me. I'm not hurting anyone, he says carefully. I'm removing a problem, permanently, but not with violence, with leverage. What kind of leverage? The kind that makes them wish they'd never heard your name. I don't ask for details. I'm not sure I want to know. Okay. Do what you need to do. He kisses my forehead. Get some sleep. I'll be in my office if you need me. But I don't sleep. I lie on his couch, wrapped in his blanket, and I listen to the low murmur of his voice through the closed door and wonder what line I just crossed, and if I'll ever be able to uncross it. By morning, it's done. Cesare emerges from his office looking exhausted but satisfied, and he sits beside me, pulling me into his lap. The Valente family won't bother you again. How can you be sure? Because their businesses just lost their primary investors. Their supply chains are frozen, and the DA received an anonymous tip about their offshore accounts. By the end of the week, they'll be too busy saving themselves to worry about you. I stare at him. You did all that in one night? I've been building a case against them for months. Last night just accelerated the timeline. He brushes hair back from my face. You're safe, Ava. I promise. What about you? What about me? Are you safe? Or did you just paint a bigger target on your back? His smile is small and sad. I've had a target on my back since I was born. That's not new. But you're new. And you're worth protecting. I bury my face in his neck, breathing him in. I don't want you to sacrifice yourself for me. I'm not. I'm choosing you. There's a difference. We stay like that for a long time, tangled together as the city wakes up around us, and I feel the fragile ordinary start to knit itself back together. But I know, deep down, that nothing will ever be ordinary again. The days following the Valente situation settle into something almost peaceful, except peace in Cesare's world always comes with strings attached. I return to my shop, and the rhythm of baking reclaims me. The precise measurements, the alchemy of heat and sugar, the way a cake can make someone cry happy tears on what should be the best day of their life. Marisol watches me with knowing eyes, and when I catch her staring, she just smiles. You're different, she says one afternoon while we're piping buttercream roses. Lighter, like you're not carrying the world on your back anymore. I'm just delegating, I say. But we both know it's more than that. I'm learning to let someone else stand guard while I create. I'm learning that asking for help isn't the same as admitting weakness. Cesare texts me throughout the day, little check-ins that make me smile. How's the lemon cake coming? Nona wants to know if you're free next Sunday. Thinking about you. The last one always makes my chest warm, because I know what it costs him to be vulnerable, even in 3 words. But there's a tension building, something I can't quite name. It lives in the way his jaw tightens when his phone rings late at night, the way Marco and Leo have started rotating shifts instead of working together, the hushed conversations that stop when I enter a room. I don't push. I've learned that Cesare will tell me what I need to know when I need to know it, and everything else is just noise designed to keep me safe. It's a Thursday afternoon when everything shifts again. I'm at Cesare's penthouse, sprawled, on his couch with a book I'm pretending to read while he works in his office, when Adrian arrives unannounced. I hear the low murmur of voices, urgent and clipped, and then Cesare appears in the doorway, his expression carefully neutral. Ava, I need you to pack a bag. We're leaving the city for a few days. I sit up, marking my place. Why? What happened? He crosses to me, sitting on the edge of the coffee table so we're eye level. There's been a development with the Valente situation. Nothing immediate, nothing dangerous, but I'd feel better if you weren't in the city while we handle it. Handle it how? His jaw tightens. The kind of handling you don't need details about. I study his face, reading the tension in the set of his shoulders, the way his hands flex once before he stills them. You're going to do something dangerous. I'm going to do something necessary. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. He takes my hands, his grip warm and steady. I have a house upstate. It's secure, quiet, and far enough away that if anything goes wrong, you won't be anywhere near it. Marco will stay with you. I'll join you as soon as I can. How long? 3 days. Maybe 4. I don't want to go. I don't want to be tucked away like something fragile while he walks into danger. But I also know that arguing will only pull his focus when he needs to be sharp, and that's not fair to either of us. Okay, I say. But you call me every night. I don't care how late. I need to know you're okay. Relief flickers across his face. Deal. The house upstate is beautiful in a way that feels almost unreal, like someone plucked it from a painting and dropped it in the middle of nowhere. It's surrounded by trees, the kind of old-growth forest that makes the air taste different, and the house itself is all stone and glass and warmth. Marco shows me around, pointing out the security features with the same calm efficiency he uses for everything, and then leaves me to settle in. I try to keep busy. I bake, using the well-stocked kitchen to make bread and cookies and a lemon tart that I know Cesare would love. I read. I walk the perimeter of the property with Marco trailing at a discreet distance. But mostly, I wait. Cesare calls the first night at 11. His voice is tired but steady, and he doesn't tell me what he's doing, just asks about my day, the house, whether I'm comfortable. I miss you, he says, and the rawness in his tone makes my throat tight. I miss you too. Come home safe. Always. The second night, the call comes later, past 1 a.m, and I'm half asleep when my phone buzzes. Sorry, he says. Long day. Are you okay? I'm fine. Tired, but fine. Cesare, Ava, I can't talk about this. Not yet, just trust me, I do. I just wish I was there. I'm glad you're not. There's a pause, and I hear something in the background. Voices, maybe, or the hum of a car. I have to go. I'll call you tomorrow. Okay, be careful. Always. The third night, the call doesn't come. By midnight, I'm pacing the living room, my phone clutched in my hand. Marco watches from the doorway, his expression unreadable. He's fine, he says. If something was wrong, I'd know. How? Because Mr. DeLuca's security network is designed so that silence means safety. If there was a problem, I'd have been contacted immediately. It's logical. It's reasonable. It does nothing to settle the knot in my stomach. At 2 a.m, I finally fall asleep on the couch, my phone on my chest, and I dream of Cesare walking away from me into shadows I can't follow. I wake to sunlight streaming through the windows and the sound of a car on the gravel drive. I'm on my feet before I'm fully awake, stumbling to the door, and Marco is already there, his hand inside his jacket. Then he relaxes. It's him. I yank the door open, and Cesare is climbing out of a black SUV, looking exhausted and rumpled and absolutely perfect. I run to him, not caring that Marco is watching or that Cesare probably needs space, and I throw my arms around his neck. He catches me easily, his arms banding around my waist, and he buries his face in my hair. I'm sorry, he murmurs. I couldn't call last night. It wasn't safe. Are you okay? Are you hurt? I'm fine. It's done. It's over. I pull back enough to look at him, and there's something different in his eyes. Relief, maybe, or exhaustion so deep it's carved new lines into his face. What's over? He glances at Marco, who takes the hint and disappears into the house. Then Cesare takes my hand and leads me to a bench overlooking the trees. We sit, and he doesn't let go of my hand. The Valenti family had a ledger, he says slowly. Real records of every illegal transaction they've made in the past decade. Money laundering, extortion, trafficking, everything. One of their own turned on them and handed it over to my team. We We spent the past 3 days authenticating it and making sure it couldn't be traced back to us. Last night we delivered it to the FBI. I stare at him. You gave the FBI evidence against them? I gave the FBI evidence that will dismantle their entire operation. By the end of the month, most of their leadership will be in custody. The ones who aren't will be too busy fleeing the country to worry about you. He squeezes my hand. You're safe, Ava, for real this time. And you? I ask quietly. Are you safe? Or did you just trade one enemy for another? The evidence was delivered anonymously. There's no way to connect it to me, and even if there was, the Valente family will be too fractured to retaliate. His thumb brushes across my knuckles. I promised you I'd end this. I meant it. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to reconcile the man who holds me so gently with the man who just orchestrated the downfall of an entire crime family. So I do the only thing I can. I lean into him, resting my head on his shoulder, and I let him hold me. Thank you, I whisper. For what? For keeping me safe, for not lying to me, for being exactly who you said you'd be. His arms tighten around me. I'm going to keep being that man for as long as you'll let me. We stay at the house for another 2 days, and it's the closest thing to normal we've had since this all started. We cook together, me teaching him how to make pie crust while he critiques my technique with a straight face that cracks when I throw flour at him. We walk through the forest, his hand warm in mine, and he tells me about growing up in the city, the way the noise and chaos became a kind of music he learned to move to. I tell him about my mother, the way she'd hum while she baked, and how I still hear that hum sometimes when I'm elbow-deep in dough. At night, we lie on the couch with the fire crackling and the city feeling like another world entirely. He asks me what I want, not in the grand existential sense, but in the small, specific ways that make a life. A bigger shop, I say. Room for more apprentices, maybe a storefront with actual seating, so people can sit and have coffee and feel like they're part of something. I hesitate, and I want to stop looking over my shoulder. I want to walk down the street without Marco trailing me. I want normal. You'll have it, he says. I promise. What do you want? I ask. He's quiet for a long time, his fingers tracing absent patterns on my arm. I want Sundays with my grandmother and you sitting next to me. I want to come home to you at the end of a long day and know that I'm building something that matters, not just surviving. I want to be the kind of man you're proud to stand beside. You already are, I say softly. I'm working on it. On the 6th day, we return to the city, and everything feels different. The threats have receded, leaving space for something quieter and more solid. My shop is still standing. Orders are steady. And when I walk through the door, Marisol whoops and hugs me like I've been gone for months instead of a week. Cesare and I fall into a new rhythm, one that feels less like survival and more like building. He takes me to dinners where we're not looking over our shoulders. I bring him lunch at his office and watch him work, the way his brow furrows when he's concentrating, the small smile that tugs at his mouth when he catches me staring. We spend Sundays at Nonna's, and she teaches me to make gnocchi while Cesare does dishes and pretends he's not listening to us gossip. It's a Tuesday night, 3 weeks after we returned from upstate, when everything shifts again. We're at his penthouse, the city spread out below us like a carpet of lights, and I'm curled on the couch with a cup of tea while he finishes some paperwork at the dining table. My phone buzzes and I glance at it absently, unknown number. A text, "Miss me, princess?" My blood turns to ice. I know that tone. That nickname Liam, I don't respond. I screenshot the message and walk to Cesare, setting my phone on the table in front of him. He reads it, and his entire body goes still. When did this come through? Just now. He pulls out his own phone and makes a call, his voice clipped and cold. Adrian, I need a trace on this number. Now. He rattles off the digits, then hangs up. How long has he been contacting you? That's the first message since the party. You're sure? I'm sure. His jaw tightens. He was supposed to stay away. The restraining order should have... He cuts himself off, running a hand through his hair. I'm handling this. Cesare, maybe he's not just anything, Ava. He's testing boundaries, seeing if he can get away with it. And he can't. He takes my hands, his grip firm. I need you to block that number and give me your phone. Adrian's going to set up monitoring so we know immediately if he tries again. You think he's dangerous? I think he's the kind of man who doesn't let go easily, and I'm not taking chances. Adrian arrives within the hour, and my phone disappears into his capable hands. We'll have a trace by morning, he says. In the meantime, Miss Morello, I'm assigning additional security. Additional? I glance at Marco, who's standing by the door. Leo will be joining Marco on rotation, and Mr. DeLuca has requested a detail on your sister as well. My stomach drops. Sophia, why? Cesare's expression is grim, because if Liam is escalating, he might try to use her to get to you. I'm not letting that happen. By morning, the trace comes back, and Cesare's expression when he reads the report is murderous. He's in the city, Brooklyn, and he's been making inquiries about your shop. What kind of inquiries? The kind that suggest he's planning something. He sets the tablet down and cups my face. I want you to stay at my place until this is resolved. No arguments. For how long? As long as it takes, I should protest. I should insist on living my life, not hiding. But I look at the tension in his shoulders, the fear he's trying to mask with control. And I nod. Okay. It takes 3 days for Liam to make his move. I'm at Cesare's penthouse, working on sketches for a wedding cake, when Marco's voice cuts through the quiet. Miss Morello, we have a situation. I'm on my feet instantly. What kind of situation? Your ex-boyfriend is at Giordano's. He's asking for you. My heart kicks into overdrive. Is anyone hurt? Not yet, but he's refusing to leave. Mr. DeLuca is on his way. But he wanted me to confirm you're secure. I'm not going anywhere, I say. Even though every instinct is screaming at me to get to the restaurant, to make sure Marisol and the staff are okay. Cesare arrives 20 minutes later, and his expression is carved from stone. He's gone. We escorted him out, but Ava... He hesitates. He left a message. What kind of message? He said he's not done with you, that you owe him for what he lost. I don't owe him anything. I know, but he doesn't see it that way. Cesare takes a breath. I'm going to make him see it. What does that mean? It means I'm paying him a visit. It means I'm making it very clear that if he so much as thinks your name again, he'll regret it. I grab his arm. Don't go after him. That's what he wants. He wants to provoke you. Then he's succeeding. Cesare, please, let the police handle it. Let the restraining order. The restraining order is a piece of paper. It doesn't stop men like him. I do. He cups my face, his touch gentle despite the fury in his eyes. I won't hurt him. I won't cross that line. But I will make sure he understands that you're not his to harass anymore. I want to argue. I want to make him promise he'll stay here. Stay safe. Stay out of whatever confrontation Liam is trying to engineer. But I also know Cesare well enough by now to recognize when his mind is made up. Then take Marco with you, and call me when it's done. Deal. He kisses me, hard and quick, and then he's gone. The waiting is torture. I pace the penthouse, my phone clutched in my hand, and every minute feels like an hour. Leo is stationed by the door, silent and watchful, and I want to scream just to break the tension. Finally, after what feels like a lifetime but is probably only 90 minutes, my phone rings. Cesare, it's done, he says, and his voice is steady. He won't bother you again. What did you do? I had a conversation, a very clear, very final conversation. And then I had Adrian deliver a file to his employer detailing his harassment of you, complete with evidence. He'll be lucky if he keeps his job, let alone his freedom if he violates the restraining order again. I sink onto the couch, relief making my legs weak. Thank you. You don't have to thank me. I told you, I protect what's mine. I'm yours, if you'll have me. I smile, and it's the first real smile I've managed all day. Yeah, I'll have you. The weeks that follow are a study in contrasts. Liam disappears from my life as thoroughly as if he never existed. His social media goes dark, and Marisol reports with glee that his girlfriend dumped him after the story about his harassment broke. Karma, she says with satisfaction, and I don't disagree. My shop thrives. The publicity from the magazine interview brought a wave of new clients, and I hire 2 more assistants to keep up with demand. I start planning for the expansion I told Cesare about. A storefront with seating, a space that feels like community, not just commerce. Cesare's world shifts too. He starts divesting from the shadier parts of his portfolio, moving money into legitimate ventures, Real estate, infrastructure, charitable foundations. I'm building something that lasts, he tells me one night. Something I'm not ashamed of. Something I can tell our kids about one day. I freeze, my fork halfway to my mouth. Our kids? He looks up, and there's something vulnerable in his expression. If that's something you'd want, eventually. Not now, obviously. But I set down my fork and moved to him, sliding into his lap. I'd want that. Eventually. His arms come around me, solid and sure. Yeah? Yeah. He kisses me then, soft and deep, and I taste the future in it. Sunday dinners and laughter, flower-dusted mornings and late-night conversations, a life built on honesty and trust, and the kind of love that doesn't flinch when things get hard. The charity gala happens on a crisp Saturday night in early autumn, and the city is dressed in its finest. The venue is a historic building in Manhattan, all marble and chandeliers, and the kind of elegance that makes you stand a little straighter. Cesare is devastating in a tuxedo, and when he sees me in the dress I chose, deep emerald silk that makes me feel like someone braver than I am, his eyes darken with appreciation. "You're stunning," he says, his hand settling at the small of my back. "You're not so bad yourself." We arrive fashionably late, and heads turn when we walk in. I'm used to it by now, the way people watch us, the whispers that follow. But tonight feels different. Tonight, I'm not just Cesare De Luca's girlfriend. I'm Ava Morello, baker, business owner, woman who survived and thrived, and I'm proud of that. We're halfway through cocktail hour when I see him. Liam. He's across the room, standing near the bar with a drink in his hand, and he's staring at us. At me. His expression is a mix of bitterness and something uglier, and my stomach clenches. Cesare feels me tense. "What is it?" "Liam. He's here." Cesare's entire demeanor shifts, protective and lethal. "Stay with me." We move through the crowd, Cesare's hand never leaving my back, and I keep my chin high and my smile in place. I refuse to let Liam see me falter. We're near the dance floor when Liam intercepts us, stepping directly into our path. "Ava," he says, and his voice is slurred just enough to tell me he's been drinking. "Fancy seeing you here." "Liam," I keep my tone neutral. "You should go." "Why?" "This is a public event. I have as much right to be here as you do." Cesare steps forward, not aggressive, just present, and his voice is ice. "The restraining order says otherwise." "You're violating it by approaching her." Liam's laugh is bitter. "Of course. The big bad Mafia boss protecting his little girlfriend. How noble." "Walk away," Cesare says quietly. "Now. Or what? You'll have me killed? Isn't that what people like you do?" A small crowd has started to gather, curious and uncertain. I see phones being pulled out, cameras angling toward us. And I know this is exactly what Liam wants. A scene, a spectacle, something to drag us both down. "You're embarrassing yourself," I say quietly. "And you're proving exactly why I left." His eyes snap to me, and there's real anger there now. "You think you're better than me because you're with him? You think his money makes you special?" "No," I say, and my voice is steady. "I think leaving you made me special. I think building a life that doesn't include you made me special. You told me I'd never find better. You were wrong." The words land, and I watch his face crumble. Then Cesare steps beside me, his hand settling at the small of my back again, warm and grounding. "You'll address her as Miss Morello," Cesare says, echoing his words from months ago. "And then you'll leave. Security is already on their way." Sure enough, 2 men in suits appear at the edges of the crowd, and Liam looks between them and us, his bravado cracking. "This isn't over." "Yes," I say firmly. "It is." Security escorts him out, and the crowd slowly disperses, murmuring among themselves. Cesare turns to me, his hands framing my face. "You okay?" "I'm perfect," I say, and I mean it. "Dance with me?" His smile is slow and warm. Always. He leads me to the dance floor, and when the music swells, strings and piano and something achingly romantic, he pulls me into his arms. We move together, and the room fades until it's just us. Just this moment. "You were incredible," he murmurs against my hair. I had good backup. You didn't need me. You handled him all on your own. I liked having you there anyway. We danced through 2 songs, and when the music pauses, someone from the gala committee approaches with a microphone. Mr. DeLuca, would you mind saying a few words? About the foundation? Cesare glances at me, and I nod. He takes the microphone, and his voice carries across the room, calm and authoritative. Thank you all for being here tonight. This foundation, supporting small businesses and entrepreneurs in underserved communities, is personal to me. I've seen what happens when people are given a chance, when someone believes in them enough to invest. My partner, Ava Morello, runs a bakery in Brooklyn. She started with nothing but skill and determination, and now she's building something that feeds more than just bodies. It feeds hope. She runs an apprenticeship program, teaches kids who don't have access to culinary schools, gives them skills and confidence and a path forward. He looks at me, and his eyes are soft. If my presence in her life makes her safer, if my resources help her reach more people, then I'll stand at her back until I'm dust. Because that's what you do for the people you love. You build them up, you protect them, you make sure they have room to grow. The room is silent, and then someone starts clapping, and it spreads until the whole room is applauding. I'm standing there with tears in my eyes, and Cesare crosses back to me, handing the microphone to someone else and pulling me into his arms. You love me? I whisper. I love you, he says. Like it's the easiest truth in the world. I have for a while now. I love you too. He kisses me then, in front of everyone, and it's not careful or calculated. It's just us, choosing each other, over and over again. The rest of the gala passes in a blur of congratulations and handshakes, and people who want to talk about the foundation, or my shop, or how inspiring we are as a couple. By the time we leave, it's past midnight, and my feet ache from heels I should have broken in better. Cesare drives us back to his penthouse, and the city is quiet at this hour, the streets mostly empty. We ride the elevator in comfortable silence, his hand in mine, and when the doors open to his apartment, I kick off my shoes and sink onto the couch with a groan. Long night? He asks, amused. The best kind of long. He sits beside me, pulling me into his lap, and I rest my head on his shoulder. Thank you, I say, for tonight, for what you said. I meant every word. I know, that's what makes it perfect. We sit like that for a long time, just holding each other, and then Cesare's hand slides under my chin, tilting my face up to his. Ava, I want to ask you something. My heart stutters. Okay? Not yet, he says, reading my expression. I promised I'd ask in the morning, with the sun. But I wanted you to know I'm ready, whenever you are. I smile, and it's the kind of smile that starts in your chest and spreads everywhere. Ask me now. You sure? I'm sure. He shifts, reaching into his jacket pocket, and pulls out a small velvet box. My breath catches. He opens it, and inside is a ring. Simple, elegant, a single diamond that catches the light and throws rainbows across the ceiling. Ava Morello, will you marry me? Will you let me stand at your back and beside you and anywhere else you'll have me? Will you build a life with me, messy and beautiful and real? I'm crying now and I don't care. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. He slides the ring onto my finger, and it fits perfectly, like it was always meant to be there. Then he kisses me deep and sure, and I kiss him back with everything I have. We don't make it to the bedroom. The couch is close, and the need is immediate. And when his hands find the zipper of my dress, I arch into his touch, greedy for the heat of him. Ava, he murmurs, his lips against my throat. Tell me you want this. I want this. I want you. Please, Cesare. He pulls back just enough to look at me, his eyes dark and intent. Then let me love you the way you deserve. He undresses me slowly, each piece of fabric removed with care, and his hands map my skin like he's memorizing every curve, every scar, every place I've learned to hide. I pull at his tuxedo jacket, fumbling with his shirt buttons, and he helps me, patient and amused, until we're both bare in the low light. You're so beautiful, he says, and the reverence in his voice makes me brave. I push him back against the couch and straddle him, my hands framing his face. So are you. He laughs, low and warm, and then his hands are on my waist, guiding me, and I move against him, slow and deliberate. Is this okay? I whisper. More than okay. His hands tighten and his breath hitches. Perfect. You're perfect. We move together, finding a rhythm that's ours alone, and the world narrows to the feel of his skin against mine, the sound of his breathing, the way he says my name like it's sacred. I lean down to kiss him, and he deepens it, his tongue sliding against mine, and the heat between us builds until I'm trembling with it. Cesare, I know, sweetheart. I've got you. He shifts, adjusting the angle, and the sensation steals my breath. I'm so close, teetering on the edge, and he seems to sense it, his hand sliding between us to where we're joined, and that's all it takes. I shatter, crying out his name, and he follows seconds later, his hands bruising tight on my hips as he pulls me down and holds me there. We collapse together, a tangle of limbs and racing hearts, and he pulls a throw blanket over us, tucking me against his chest. I love you, he murmurs, pressing a kiss to my temple. I love you too. We lie there in the aftermath, boneless and content, and he traces lazy patterns on my back. I meant what I said. About kids, about building something. I want all of it with you. Me too, I whisper. All of it. He reaches over to grab his phone, tapping something quickly, and a moment later, I hear the soft whir of the espresso machine in the kitchen. Tea will be ready in 5 minutes, he says. And then we're going to bed, and in the morning, I'm taking you to breakfast and telling everyone who'll listen that you said yes. Sounds perfect. And it is. All of it. The tea, the way he carries me to bed when my legs won't quite cooperate, the solid warmth of him beside me as I drift off to sleep. It's perfect in the way that real life is perfect, messy and complicated and absolutely worth it. 6 months later, the city is draped in spring, and my shop has expanded into the space next door. There's seating now, mismatched chairs and small tables where people linger over coffee and pastries, and the apprenticeship program has grown to include 8 kids from the neighborhood. Cesare funded it quietly, his name nowhere on the paperwork, but everyone knows, and they're grateful. We get married on a Sunday, because that's the day that belongs to Nonna and to us. And the ceremony is small and intimate, just family and close friends. Nonna crying into a handkerchief while Marisol adjusts my veil for the 10th time. Cesare stands at the front of the church in a suit that makes him look like he stepped out of a dream. And when I walk down the aisle on Sophia's arm, her belly round with the baby she'll deliver in 2 months, his eyes never leave mine. The vows are simple. We promise to choose each other, to build together, to stand side by side through whatever comes. And when the priest says, "You may kiss your bride," Cesare cups my face and kisses me like it's the first time and the last time and every time in between. The reception is at a restaurant in Brooklyn, the kind of place where the food is honest and the laughter is loud, and we dance until my feet ache and Cesare's tie is long gone. Nonna corners us near the end of the night and presses an envelope into my hands. "For the babies," she says, winking. "When you ready." "Nonna," Cesare protests. But she's already walking away, cackling to herself. Later, when the guests have gone, and it's just us in the car heading to the small house we bought in Brooklyn, close enough to the shop, far enough for quiet, Cesare takes my hand and kisses my knuckles. "Happy?" he asks. "Happier than I knew I could be." "Good. That's the plan for the rest of our lives." I lean my head on his shoulder and watch the city pass by the window, lights and noise and the beautiful chaos of it all. "Take me home," I say softly. He squeezes my hand. "Always," and he does.